Good evening. Welcome to Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Here at Expat Insights, we take external views of internal successes by foreigners, expats, and immigrants who have made Philippines their home and are doing good in the Philippines, either in business or society. Tonight, we have two guests from England, English people, and we are going to take up the subject matter of appreciating cultures to find out what cultures mean and how people can work around it and how people can appreciate the other side of the culture. So my first guest tonight is a gentleman called Steve Guildford. He is a process manager at Emerson Electric, has been in the country for nearly 15 years, and is a father to two lovely kids who are sitting right across me. So, well, let's welcome Steve Guildford to Expat Insights. Steve, welcome to Expat Insights.
Thank you.
So, Steve, tell me what brought you to the Philippines in the first place.
Well, I was working at a UK company, and to be honest, I found the UK was a little bit constraining for what I wanted. I wanted some exposure outside the country. So when the opportunity came along to take up a position in a Filipino company over here, I took the opportunity. It was from the point where they said, are you interested? 4 weeks later, I was here.
Wow, that was quick. That was quick, right?
Yeah, I took a bit of research before I came. I saw all the news articles about, things like, terrorism, coup d'état, and various things, and thought, sounds exciting. I'll give that a try.
Coup d'état is very exciting for you, coming from UK.
Absolutely, you don't find that kind of thing over there these days.
I know, we should have some of those there one of these days.
Absolutely, it brings a bit of excitement into your life.
Yeah, put some spice in your life, no?
Yeah.
So you like it here?
I love it. It took me a while to get used to the temperature. However, it's just one of those things you get used to, really. But
yeah.
The life and culture is very good. I mean, I came from a kind of a normal working class background, and coming over here, people are very much the same way, very family oriented, very supportive of each other, and principally that's the reason why I stay here, is the people and the environment.
Was this your first ever job abroad, or did you go live in some other countries before?
No, absolutely. It was my first job here. First job abroad. I came from the UK, decided that if I was going to move away from the UK, I'd pick somewhere on the other side of the planet, and because I only planned doing it once. So, like I say, 4 weeks before being asked and then arriving.
I'm thinking it must have been a major shift in your paradigms and culture about the world and how it works, no?
It's been a number of paradigm changes. I mean, when I first came over here, I originally came over here for a 2-year expat contract. So I had a year living as an expat, a full expat. And then after a year, they announced the closure of the company I was working for.
So you were never you were not with Emerson all the time that you've been here?
No, I started off with a company called Brand Rex, which is based in Subic Bay. And they announced the closure of the company in Subic soon after. I actually spent a year living inside Subic Bay, the SBMA base. And it was kind of a change of paradigm when I moved from the expat life into a normal, what they call local Philippine worker.
On the street, Filipino life. Yeah.
So I got a job with one of our suppliers, and I stayed on for a year and a half there, and then eventually got married, moved down to the province of Cavite, and been there ever since.
You're married to a Cebuano or a Caviteño? Right?
Cebuana.
Cebuana. Before we go to your family matters, tell me, what was your first ever exciting experience in the Philippines? Something that said, oh man, this is different. Was there something like that?
Well, obviously, living in Subic for a year, it's a year and 2.5 years, in fact. A number of exciting experiences, things that you don't find where I come from.
Like?
The first time I crossed the road was the hard part. We went, simply the first couple of days we were here, we actually went into Olongapo just to walk down the street to buy food, and I was shocked.
About crossing the road?
Crossing the road was a death-defying feat, which I'd never tried before, and
haven't you heard that we have superpower here, that you can raise your palm, stop any kind of traffic when you want to cross the road. Have you tried that in the last 15 years?
I try and avoid doing that. Because obviously, I grew up near Manchester, so crossing the road is typically you just do it and then hope for the best.
Yeah.
But in a longer pole, it's more a question of no matter where you walk, there's people driving.
Yeah.
No matter which side of the road it is, and it was just chaos when we first started off. I've since come to a different paradigm shift in that I now work in Makati.
Yeah.
So my new paradigm shift is that Olongapo is really civilized. So I've gone from being British civilized to Olongapo chaos, Olongapo civilized, Makati chaos. So my paradigms are changing, year in, year out, really.
Good. So it's progressing.
It's progressing.
It's becoming better every day, no?
Yeah. I read somewhere that to properly live in the Philippines as a Filipino,
Yeah.
you need to appreciate that nothing is perfect. And
I like that. That's a very good philosophy. And it'll never be perfect.
Never be perfect. I mean, you have to appreciate that the roads will never be flat.
The roads will never be flat. I hope they'll be flat, at least.
Well, potholes here, there, and everywhere. I mean, the atmosphere in Makati will never be clean. So if you learn to appreciate these things...
Someday they will be. Someday they will be.
Oh, we hope so.
Yeah. So tell me about your work that you do at Emerson. And of course, we'll come back to talking about the Cebuana, but let's talk about Emerson now. What does your job involve?
Well, actually, I'm an operations manager for Emerson Electric in Makati. I've been working there for about 4.5 years. We support your offices in the United States and worldwide and Europe in their back office operations. I have about 60 people doing various functions. And my job basically is to act as the local manager, representative of the foreign counterparts of Emerson.
And which foreign counterparts do you represent? Any special countries, any special cultures, or it's just the whole plethora?
The teams that I manage, I have some American support, US support, Middle East and Africa, Asia Pacific. Some global support where we handle issues from people wherever they happen to raise their issues. But it means that we deal with multiple cultures. People may call up from all over the world. I have counterparts in Europe and also elsewhere.
So what kind of insights do you have on these cultures? You are now probably well versed with 2 different cultures. One is the English, the Subic, and the Makati culture. So what about these other cultures that you have to do business with every single day?
I think that having an English guy mixed in with the Filipino culture kind of brings in a new dimension to the whole thing.
Right.
I'm able to give people first off exactly what reception their responses may have before they actually make them. If you're going to talk to an English guy, if you behave in a certain way, it's considered to be weak or unacceptable. If you behave in a different way, then you're going to have a much more better reception.
Yeah.
We had a particular thing with a particular European language, not in this company, but a previous company, where the associate who was dealing with the guy said that he couldn't understand why they were so rude to him.
He couldn't understand
the Filipino couldn't understand why the foreigners were so rude to him over the phone.
Right, right.
And knowing something of the European culture involved, I taught him some language in the language that he needed to speak in, so that he could then, at the very least, say, "May I speak with so and so? I'm sorry, I don't speak your language. Can you please speak English?"
Yeah.
And by simply saying that, the response was far better, because the country he was dealing with were very proud of their language and their heritage. And I understood, without trying too hard, that if you try to speak their language, then they would respond more positively. And it worked. I mean, the guy was stunned by how friendly they were, simply because he tried to speak the language.
The foreign counterpart? The local Filipino?
The Filipino was stunned how friendly the counterparts were.
Oh, after you told them to move into English, which was a common language for both, no?
No, I taught him how to say I taught him how to speak the foreign language, just a couple of phrases.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. So let me see. So when a Filipino has to deal with a person of another culture across the phone, virtually, no? And sometimes the language barrier creates the perception that, hey, that person is rude, hard, overpowering, demanding, doesn't care. That's a perception that we may have.
Yeah.
Yeah, as coming from the culture that we are, which is soft, caring, gentle, family-oriented. What about the perception of the person across the borders, across the phone? How would they perceive us?
Typically, it depends on the culture. Certainly, we try and encourage Filipinos when they're on the phone to people to be positive, definitive, and if they have something to say, they should bring up the idea. Don't hold back good ideas simply because you don't think they'll be received well. Typically, people in Europe, they want input. The perception we have is that they are thousands of miles away from their person that's doing the work for them, and they cannot see what's happening.
Correct.
Without that general input of ideas, then the counterpart they're dealing with won't understand.
Thus, instead of being supremely cautious, be candid a bit.
Be more candid.
Be more candid, be more direct and assertive. That would work for them, no?
It works for most people, yeah. Obviously, you have to play it by ear. But, we encourage people to be, being from a kind of a... I mean, the Philippines is excellent in terms of customer service.
Yeah, somebody was just telling me this morning, yeah. In fact, yes.
I have never met a workforce that's more dedicated to serving customers and is more proactive in terms of sorting out customer issues. Typically, I was in the UK, and every day, 5 o'clock or 5 minutes to 5, there's a queue of people by the clock machine.
501s.
501s.
Yeah.
And in the Philippines, typically, there's this impulse, I need to finish something, this customer needs it, I need to finish it. It's a completely different work ethic here, and this is one thing I really appreciate about living here. The workforce in terms of customer service is superb.
They want to fulfill the task and the assignment.
They don't want to let someone down. It's still this thing about, I promised something, I don't want to let this person down, I've got to finish it before I leave. Rather than, it's 5 to 5, I should get my bag ready.
This industry, shall we call it the BPO industry or shared services industry in your case, no?
Kind of thing, yeah.
Kind of thing, no? So where do you think it's going for us? Where do you think it's taking the country as a whole and the country's economy?
I think there's huge potential in the shared service and BPO industry here because not only we have got this excellent customer service attitude, we also have exceptional English skills. One of the benefits of me being a natural English speaker is that whenever I hire somebody, we only hire people with very good English skills.
Wow.
But not only that, people who can sit in a room with someone like me, be interviewed by me without losing those skills. So if you lose your skills under pressure, then you'll be no good at this. And we have a lot of very, very good English speakers, many of them with very good American accents, some of them who've been Eurofied, if you like, with very good European accents. In fact, one of the teams that I used to be involved with, they were encouraged to learn a regional English accent because their principal country was the UK.
No, my question, Steve, was about big picture. Where is the industry driving the economy of the Philippines? You think long term is going to be good for us? And how would you describe the growth of the potential of the industry?
The potential growth is very large, but I mean, one of the concerns I have is that I wouldn't want the Philippines to put all their eggs in one basket.
Okay, that's your insight.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of growth potential here. I mean, in terms of BPO and shared service, in terms of support for foreign countries, there's a great potential here, and there's a huge market here. There's a massive number of people involved in Manila alone.
Yeah.
But my only concern here is that putting all your eggs in one basket, is a little bit.
So that's even if it has a potential for 20 more years, let's not totally lean on it heavily. Yeah. That's your recommendation. That's your insight.
You can take those skills and you could. I mean, it's not only shared services. We also have a great technical support function here. People who are very technically qualified. Everyone that we typically hire has a degree, which is not usual for European countries. There are other ways that we can exploit the skills and the potential here, but not just necessarily in the BPO and shared service industry.
Good insight. So spread the eggs and then wait for growth. Let's come back home. Let's come back to the Cebuana and your life at home. Any culture clashes there or personality clashes there, Cebuana and an English person?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Wrong question. Okay.
One of the things about living here, I mean, certainly, the thing I like about so this my wife, this Sabwana.
What's her name? You want to tell her name? Hello.
Hi, Ernie.
Okay.
But is that again? It's a question of maintaining, being able to maintain femininity, but also strong will as well.
Right. Right.
It's the reason we got married was because we were already best friends at the time.
You're right about that. Filipinas or Cebuanas, all of them, feminine and yet strong-willed.
Exactly.
Wow,
it's common
that's
throughout
an
the
amazing
Philippines.
insight. I've never called a Filipina to be like that, so that works for them. That's correct.
Yeah. It's a combination of the two, which isn't the same where I come from. It tends to be a different aspect to it. People think they have to be, strong and masculine to be, considered to be important. But over here, you can maintain your femininity, but still be a strong will. Still get things done.
Still be strong-willed. So, Steve, what does the future hold for Mr. Guildford and his kids here, Filipino English kids?
Well, I was over in the UK a few years ago, and I firmly decided that my children, under the Filipino social and family structure and the values that they have, are better off being educated here. I'd rather them to be educated here, certainly up to college level until that point, because I much prefer the social thing here.
You like it. So does the culture, the ambience, the value systems?
The value systems, I believe my kids can grow up here to be level-headed and respectful of their peers and their elders. They're going to get a good level of education, and that's what I want for my kids right now. So I plan to stay here for the foreseeable future. I am moving into a different field. I'm heavily involved with I want to encourage Filipinos not only to be the recipients of issues, but to also to
recipients of, sorry?
Issues like customer service,
Yeah.
basically, but to go out there and actively change things. I believe we've got again this thing about all the eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Is that there's a potential here for people to desire change and to be able to push.
That's going to a much more proactive business rather than a reactive one.
Yeah.
Would that be your statement? Yeah.
And there's a lot of capability here to do that, rather than just being the recipient of like VPO staff. There's a lot of capability here to go out and change value systems abroad, which is what I'd like to move into.
That's what you'd like them to drive. Steve, I'm almost at the end of the time that we've been granted for this interview. I have two questions actually, and you can choose any one. One is, what is your most favorite place to visit in the Philippines? That's your choice. Or what is your real deep insight on getting across cultures or communicating across cultures? What would be your philosophy? So any which one, your choice.
There are so many places here to visit. It's hard to choose one.
Yeah.
I'm amazed about how the sea is warm here, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting across cultures, it's a question of when you get into any interaction with somebody in a different culture, the first thing you have to try and do is leave your baggage behind.
Right.
And take every situation to be a fresh one. And
Fantastic.
At least have the patience to be able to absorb what the person's telling you rather than just bring your baggage with you.
Right. So thus not imposing your perceptions upon them and just taking it as it comes, living it by the moment.
Yeah.
Steve Guildford, thank you very much for being on Expat Insights. And
Thank
if you have to say bye to your kids or hello to your lovely wife, this is your moment, and our time's up here. So that's your camera there.
Hi, Ernie. I'll see you tomorrow.
And those are his kids there, right there. Hello, and that's Ariana, and that's Thomas.
Hi, babies.
Thank you very much, Steve Guildford.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that was Steve Guildford talking about appreciating cultures. He's an Englishman, and now after the break, we'll come back and talk to a lady who's made Philippines her home for the longest time and does documentaries on the Philippines. Her name, Hazel Andrea Stewart. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Stay watching. This is Expat Insights.